I am Eon. It is Sunday, October 12th, 2025 as I record. Let's look at the first set of releases for Fantasy for the month of October. We're going to try to go fast because I want to keep this within an hour. First up, 3D Art Guy, if you back him on Tribes, has Cleric, Campsite, and Owlbear. This is from a previous month's release, I do believe, but definitely worth checking out if you missed that. Admiral Apocalypse is doing Moonforge Ruins in October, but unfortunately, as of this moment, I haven't got those pictures to show you anything more. Aether Studios is doing Gnomish Workshop. Comes with a couple of different options here. And there's a Gremlin Capo, Bugsy Graviato. There's a Harvest Festival. That looks like a lot of fun to print and put together. It reminds me of the Twilight Forest in modded Minecraft. There's some harvest festivals, and pretty cool that you can add a little LED light to the lantern. Some flaming flying pumpkins, pumpkin golem and pumpkin boss, Greg and Virginia. Not sure which is which. Here's a spider elf dungeon. I like the look of these models. These look really cool. A lot of intricate detail there. Some mage towers. Dry Dock, that's pretty cool. Dungeon Pit, there's just a lot of interesting things going on here. Peaceful Waterfall, an evolved adolescent Ronin raccoon. Here is a Welcome to the Party Miniatures Clay Golem, okay. And the Dice Holder of Zeke Tegan, Cursed Magic Item. Arbiter Miniatures, we're going to lay this one out a little bit different because it's only doing 2 models per each tier. So let's look at it this way. Here's Advanced FDM, Resin Pre-Supported, and Supportless. So here are the Advanced FDM models, the Resin Pre-Supported, and the Supportless. Artisan Guild is going to the Brood of the Zeke Scuttlers. So a bug sort of group this month. Here are the Zeke Scuttlers. And part 2, so I guess these don't have that extra shell on their back. These are Zeke Burrowers. Zaruk, a Scuttler Knight. Little battle damage there. Skarneth, the Zeke Scuttler Psionic, with Psionic Energy. Here's Skira, the Scuttler. She's the pinup model this month. Here's Zaliska, the Hoarder Queen. Now, watch very carefully here. If you are part of Guildhall, you get this alternative version. We get a Scuttler Zeke Spire, as well as some weapons. And if you back at the bust level, then you can get these busts as well. So there's about 3 different tiers with Artisan Guild, depending on how you back them. Archvillain Games for Fantasy is doing Witchfell Gloamwood Whispers. Here is Balsaruk. I guess he's like a leader of the forest sort. Here's Gloamstag and Beastbinder Crone. Lycan and Bogdan Klar, the Noose Dodger. Mila Volkov, the Demon Whisperer. And Ilyan of Volgorod, the Crimson Laughter. Is that his face? Is that his helmet? I'm not sure what that is. These are Gloamwood Apostles. Baba Moravaya. Gloamwood Briarborn. Coaster Boar, and Voidyavsov. I feel like I should have to speak Russian or a similar Slavic language to fully grasp these titles. Apologies for messing them up. Avatars of War has put out Goblin Wolf Rider Archers. I believe part of the October release is Iron Orc Warlord on Wyvern. I could be wrong here. Their releases seem to be like mid-month, so it always confuses me. And they have this on their Instagram, Mama Troll. It fits. It is obscene as everything, but it fits. BattleYak Miniatures has shown us Ancient Warfare. We'll look at some more of those in the sci-fi video. Grim Wars has shown us this model of all the Grim Wars released. We'll look at just the fantasy sort of release this month, which is the Last Elven Kingdom, General with Shadow Hunter. And yes, those horses have like 8 legs. And these are heavy riders. I believe this comes from a Norse myth, as some of my viewers have commented, and thank you for that, because I don't know my Norse mythology like I should. Brotherhood of the Dead Plague, Flying Weepers. Again, I feel like these could be, they're made for fantasy, but I feel like they could be sci-fi as well. Brotherhood of the Dead Plague, Flying Weepers. And Plague Minions Reinforcements. See, he's got a gun. That's what throws me off about why is that fantasy. And Devourer of Sins. And Last Elven Kingdom Automaton Siege Engine. I feel like that's mislabeled. BattleYak Miniatures has Gargutch Warbashers this month. For a free model, you can grab these. And here's what the October Battle Pack looks like. Let's take a deeper dive into what all you get this month. These are Ogre Warbashers. Pretty cool looking models, I think. Again, from another viewpoint, these seem to be Cyclops Ogres. So 1-eye or 2-eye, whichever way you want to build them. They come with several different weapon choices. These are Mogrot Scrabble Slaves. Lots of different types of heads, long noses, short noses, floppy-eared or up ears. These are Mud Dragon War Beasts. I think they've added swords to that thing's horns. Interesting. And here's a Gurgrutch Mud Dragon Rider. Here's a Gutch Butch Man-Eater. And she comes in an alternative version as well. There's also several bases to fit the theme. Mossstone. The Beholder Miniatures has, of course, doing 1 sin for 7 kingdoms. Looks like you're getting about 3 or 4, I think just 3 factions this month. Here's, I think I misspelled it, but Tamorka Astari Commander, and these are Astari Dynasty Riders. Couldn't quite read it. Astari Dynasty Warriors Command Group. These are Evergreen Elves. These are Beastmasters with animals, and Deepwood Riders Command Group. So, of course, you have the champion in the middle, the bannerman on the left, and the musician on the right. Dwarven Kingdom's Volcanic Beast with Rune Priest. This is the Rune Priest, and this is the Axe Thrower. Belxasar 3D Print has done Perpetual Knight 2. This is Callista, the Perpetual Whisperer, and Zareth, Matriarch of the Night. These are Night Keepers. Night Stalkers. Wasn't that the name of a TV show? Red Moon Wolf. Can't tell if these wolves have been infected or if this is how they were born. Poor things. Where's his snoot? Here's a Red Moon Zealot and Scourge of Mortals. And there's the Matriarch of the Night without a rider. Bestiarum Miniatures as doing the remade this month. This is a interesting bunch as well. This is the remaker. Apparently this is the creator of all of these creations here, for lack of a better term. Here we see a remade Guardian, remade Servitors, and we could spend a lot of time looking at each one of those, but we're not going to. Here's a Dark Elf Royal Guard. Would you still call that a Dark Elf? And these are Dark Elves. Looks like a lot of them have been chopped up and messed up. Here is some various pieces of terrain. Lots of people that have been put in spider webbing for the remaker. Bite the Bullet Studios is doing Realm of Bulletcraft. And here's the throwback pack of the models you'll get as well. So it's always cool to get some bonus models in case you missed a previous month. Here is a Troll Shadow Hunter and a Tauren Chieftain Warrior. Here's a Human Prince Paladin and a Night Elf Demon Hunter. I don't think we're prepared. Here's a Dreadlord Necromancer and an Eridar Warlock. Murloc Trickster and Dragon Trickster. Banshee Dark Ranger and Blood Elf Rogue. Human Mage Admiral and a Mage Water Elemental. Pretty well done model for that, actually. Ogre Lockcirker. Okay. And Serena, the Human Inquisitor. Imagine she hangs out near a monastery that's colored red. It's a play, Scarlet Monastery. Blackcrest Miniatures, the Tusked Horde. So orcs. You'll notice there's a lot of orcs this month because it is Orktober. So here's Warlord Krosh and Warbrute Ghamak. This is Warbrute Oryx and Tusked Warrior Draz. Tusked Warrior Grak and Tusked Warrior Krasa. Cast and Play has really changed their look quite a lot. Last month we had frogs. This month we have Lizard Town. We have some Lizard Adventurers and Lizard Mercenaries, Lizard Merchant, and Lizard Town Guardsman. Lizard Inn Bouncers and Lizard Travelin' Merchant. A lot of character in that model. I like that. And Lizard Assassins. For the throwback, you get a little bit of this and a little bit of that from all over the place. Most of it does seem to be swamp inspired to fit with the theme of the lizards. Also, Cast and Play has just announced that they've got a Kickstarter coming, Death Tiles Graveyard Set. $6 for a week on Kickstarter. Be sure to sign up. I'll try to remember to put the link down below so that you can go check it out. Claudio Casini Art for October is doing all of this goodness. We're going to look at all of it but one, because one of those is sci-fi. Dark Paladin, Orc Barbarian with different weapon options, Panda Folk Leader Warrior, again various weapons options, hammer, sword, axe, Male Dwarf Sorcerer Wizard with Spell Book, or Spell Scroll I would say, Cruel Gorilla Monster. Maybe it's just misunderstood. Clay Beast Creation has shown us this set here. I didn't write down what the whole title is, but these are the Maggot Bombers Squad over on the left, and a Rot Crawler Squad. Calambre and Grolgen, so he comes either mounted or not. And these are Wormlings Squad and Infinity Seer, which is a throwback piece. Thought I just heard thunder, but I doubt that. Claymore Miniatures has the Crusade of Penitence. It's interesting models here. Here we see Valera Stormborn, an Aasimar Cleric, Erithos Medium Warlock, Vidalker, I'm not familiar with that term, Penitent Crusader, a Human Paladin, Mea Culpa, my fault? My blame? Okay. Weeping Carapace, Blight Devil, the Excommunicator. I guess if you want somebody written out of your life, they'll take care of it for you. The Pontifex of Repentance, Failed Crusader, a Lasher, Sister of Lament, an Eclipse Knight, Soul of Innocence, and an Abject of Shame. Soul of Innocence seems so out of place with this release. CobraMode has put out the October release. There's the throwback on the right. I wasn't sure what to write down for these, so I didn't. And this is a Halloween bonus, a Forg wizard. Like frog, but yeah, different. That butt, though. And several different types of bases, square and round, as you would like. Along with a little bit of scatter terrain. Creature Caster has doing the Lord of Sorrows, as well as this bust, and I honestly wasn't sure what they called it, if they even had a name for it, and I don't even know if they have an idea of a name for it. Crippled God Foundry is doing the Coven of the Mire. These are corrupted nymphs. This is the Coven of the Mire. There are 3 of them in this coven, of course. Here's Sister Festerling, Hag of Hunger, Mireheart, Hag of Despair, and Sister Bramblegut, Hag of Rot. This is a corrupted treant. Bog Troll Servants, Corrupted Harpies, Shambling Mound of Rot. And here is Jack-o'-lantern Witch Hunter. I really like this model, and he comes in 2 versions, if you'll notice. There's the Coven of the Mire, there's the Witch Hut, you know, pretty typical. I like the Minecraft perhaps reference, or just, it's such easy idea to understand. Tentacles and portals and swamp pools and platforms, all sorts of things, all the things. Custom Miniature Maker is going to be more in the sci-fi video for right now, but I did want to point out a couple of things. Most of this is kind of tech, like industrial, but I really, really like this roller. This is Cracked Road, and I think this could be used fantasy or science or modern or science fiction. And I really like the texturing of that. It just looks really cool. I'm not a big fan of texture rollers in general, but I would change my mind for this one. And it's not that I'm against them, it's just I don't normally have clay to do that with. Dark Realms has given us some previews here of Milthalor, and this is apparently inspired for Myth Draenor, for any of you that are familiar with that from the Forgotten Realms. This is elves and dwarves and men all living side by side, and these are just some previews of the videos that they might be, of the images of things they'll be coming out with. Davale Games has 6x Swan Warriors with sword on foot. I think they just released something else today, and I didn't include it in the video. Swan Warrior Captain, and only for subs, a couple of Dead Folk as well. So this is pretty much what you're getting so far for October. Daybreak Miniatures is doing the Lardy League of Broken Hassan. And these models are all over the place. This one's got 3 arms. That one's all stitched up. This one has no arms. Like, how do you survive? That one too. No arms and no eyes. There's a couple of busts from the previous release that Daybreak usually does. Dice Heads has Rat Cultists and Father Maggot. The Orphan of Rot and Swarming Maggotlings. High Seer Vacarus, Ratfolk Cult Leader and Grizzly Bear Barbarian. Chameleon Arcane Trickster and a Mousefolk Life Cleric. DM Stash is doing Shadow over Nordheim. 21 printable miniatures. There's the Bone White Benvater and Daughters of Death Valkyrie Shield Maidens. Here's Froya, Maiden of Life, and Gunhilder, Outlander Berserker. Gwambari, Animal Friend Shaman, and Hrumhrir, Frosthorned Beast. This is Hel, Maiden of Death, and as a bust form as well, Heal. Hviotbjorn, Druid of the White Tundra, and Lot, Maiden of Trickery, Lycteholder, Elderwood Draugr, and Magnar Nilstrom, Nordic Warchief. Nils Olav, the Heartland Hero, and he looks like a pretty decent, just normal, generic Viking. Skadi, Maiden of Vengeance, Searcherson, Fire Jotun, and Vidar Skalgrim, Nordic Hunter. And the One-Eyed Wanderer. I was just thinking of when I used to play Valheim, and sometimes you would see Odin just standing off in the distance. You could never quite get to him, but he was just watching. The Dragon Trapper's Lodge is doing the Cryptid Codex and the Spore Sovereign Part 1. Now, I have a soft spot for cryptids, and I really am excited about this. Here's a Snallygaster. Here's Nessie and Sasquatch. Both of these have got to be like the worst selfie takers ever. Here's Zalian, Cryptid Expert, and Duke Lux, Global Elite. Now, I don't know about Duke Lux, but if you're not familiar with Zalian, they're referencing this guy right here. I forgot to look up his name from history, from Ancient Aliens on History Channel. Here's Fletcher Grimm, the Cryptid Hunter, and Merrill, the Tinfoil Knight. Look at his tinfoil hat. Okay, here's the Jackalope King and some Jackalopes. Here's a couple of Chupacabras and some Greys. There's some pretty muscular Greys. A couple of Mothmen and some Nightcrawlers. I'm not exactly sure what the Nightcrawlers are a reference to offhand. These are not deer, and a Wendigo Ancient. And then finally a Skunk Ape, which I thought Skunk Ape was just Bigfoot, wasn't it? But I guess not. Okay. Wow, just awesome release. I'm going to have to think a few times, and I'll probably end up back in that. The Spore Sovereign Part 1 has the Myconid Drake and some floaters. Sporeborn Sentries and Sporeborn Burster Commanders. And they all come with different weapon options. Sporeborn Busters or Burster's Banner and Burster Musicians. Sporeborn Bursters and Sporeborn Warrior Commanders. Sporeborn Warrior Commanders and Sporeborn Warrior's Banner. So I guess it's just a really tall mushroom as their banner. Sporeborn Warrior Musician and some more Sporeborn Warriors. Dragon's Lake Miniatures is continuing with Demons this month. We have the Eternal Gleam and Twilight Howl, Gear of Time and Chronarch of Ages. Chronarch of Ages on disc and on gear. And the Weaver of Ages, and I do believe that is everything from them. Dragon's Rest Tavern has put out this Dragon's Rest Tavern piece here. So this is added to their Essentials drive. Duncan Shadow is doing Slinger Trolls. Troll King. Anchor Trolls. Ghost Trolls. Badgerfolk Knights. Badgerfolk as a multi-part kit. Ice Trolls. Orcs, and lots of orcs. All sorts of orcs. Heavily armored, lightly armored, bow and arrow, shield, spear. Just lots and lots of orcs. Here are your shaman sorts. Dungeon Classics has the Clay Golem this month. And the Flesh Golem. There's Tree Blight. Cult Fanatic that is a female, and several cultists that are female. Cultists that are male, and a Cult Fanatic that is male. Good, just generic cult people to put. Dungeon Dog has put out this release. I'm not exactly sure what we call it over head. Silken Stone, I suppose. Here says a Chloricher. Not sure if that's an original name. Here's Cultist version E. There are previous Cultists released in previous months. Cultist F and Cultist G. Here is a bust of the Drider from last month. And Giant Underdark Spiders, versions A and B and C. And I think the only other thing they had listed was some sort of nest egg or something, but... Alright, Epic Miniatures, time to lock in. Here we go. Update number 1, Corsair Warders. Here we have Pirate Hideout Scatter and Pirate's Shipwreck Hut. Shark Bar and Smuggler's Ship. Pirate Carriage and Ratfolk Pirate Captain. Octofolk Pirate. You will not understand what he says. 2 heads are better than 1 with the Etten Pirate. They always say that with 1 head, but where do they know? Here's the Otterfolk Pirate. Swimming Pirate's a deadly pirate. Otterfolk are made for this lifestyle. Here is the Orca, mostly friendly to humans. Squidman Hulk is in fact made of many different animal body parts, but people keep insisting on calling him Squidman. Here's a Bronze Dragon Wormling. They are adding to this every month, and now it's the Bronze Dragons. Sea Adventurer, Pirate in Denial. Don't call him a pirate though, he'll challenge you to a duel. Anglerfish Savage, most people run away after seeing him. He's very misunderstood though, he just wants their money. No reason to run away. Hammerhead Shark. And yeah, this is when the pirate tells you to swim with the sharks. Here is a Sea Serpent Pirate. So here's an actual sea serpent that is a pirate. I don't know how exactly that works. Some people believe he's the main reason the map maker drew sea serpents on their map. They actually try to warn people about the ruthless pirate's territory. Here's a Muscle Pirate. He only cares about a few things in life: treasure, rum, his muscles, and his mustache. Here's a Ghost Captain. He lost his crew, his ship, and his treasure. He vowed to get everything back. His vow was so strong, not even death could stop him. Eelfolk Pirate. You can never tell if he's angry or happy. He will try to stab you, nonetheless. Draco Pirates are truly intimidating half-dragon pirates. This is a Shipwreck Golem. Cursed Shipwreck accompanying the Ghost Captain. Alright, update number 2. Here is the Demogorgon Prime. There's a couple of Demogorgons being released this month. I think with the release of Stranger Things before long, a lot of people are gearing up for that. If you see this while adventuring in the Abyss, you're in very deep trouble. These are echoes of Demogorgon, creatures that are said to be spawn of the prince himself. That is a Pit Archdemon. The leader of the Pit Fiends is rarely seen. If he does appear, he's probably going. Quasit Classics. These mischievous demons are subservient to greater fiends. Don't underestimate them because of that, though. Demon Flesh Golem. Someone took different parts of demons and put them together. Why? Probably just to see if they could. How is probably even a better question. This is a Bebelith Spider. Demonic creeper hunts other demons for fun. Probably not the most popular guys in the Abyss. This is an Oathbreaker. He broke a pact with a demon and survived. As punishment, he became demonic himself. This is a Catfolk Warlock. Fearsome warlock that tamed the dark powers of a higher demon, became a destroyer of worlds. People still want to pet it, though. A Pyrodemon, known arsonist. You summon it when you want things burned. Tiefling Assassin, rogue that specialized in killing people from the shadows. This is a Clurature Demon. There's that word again. Imagine being so horrifying that even Balers avoid you. Okay, that must be a type of demon that I've never dealt with before. Abyss Nightmare. It's said that nightmares from the Abyss have blue flames instead of the usual red. A mount collector would pay any adventurer who could tame one a good price. They would pay, not like a shiny Ponyta. Demon Knight says it's an honorable knight. You can fight it if you disagree. It will eat you after winning, as honor demands. Here's a Don Crab Demon, donkey head, and crab claws. Ah, that's why it's called Don Crab. Here is a Yamuri Inferno Queen, demon lady being served by all kinds of fire elementals. Obsidian Dragons, rare gem dragon, lesser known to most, definitely the most nefarious. That said, we made it so that you can mount the young one. And that is all of Epic Miniatures release. Fate's End is doing Reliquary of the Restless, Dice Guardians and Dice Towers and Mischief Holders and jewelry boxes and ducky toys, all sorts of fun things to put together here. Flesh of Gods Miniatures has the Devil's Offspring in the month of October. Here's Azeroth Endless Oath Stage 1, 2, and 3. I probably should have put that in 3 different subsequent slides. Goat Idol, Wicker Golem, and Hag Countess. Twin Stalker and Mother of Bargains. Grim Owl and Grisha Ash Tongue. Severin the Bloodveil and Yishma Hexhand. Corrupted Satyr and Deep Hag. Skarn, Herald of the Pact, and Sir Calvario, Lone Crusader. Dame Valeria, Lone Crusader, and Osric, Voice of the Pact. And I like the fact that he has an alternative view there, so obviously a homage to Ozzy Osbourne. Vestra, the Grim Cleric, and Ravus, the Dark Wing. Here's a bust of Osric as well, and of Sir Calviero. Here's Fleshcraft Studios. They have the Wormrot Seers, Nulgaroth the Drowned Flame, Fumespawn Crucible, Mistvein Augur, Skulk Rune Stalkers. I had a free trial for this month, by the way. Murlite Acolytes, and the stats. I think this may have to do with them moving over to My Mini Factory. Apparently they are not happy with Patreon and the post, the file distribution, and so forth. So they might be moving over to My Mini Factory. I don't know if they're cutting out the Patreon or not. I think they are. But yeah, worth checking out. Gamescape 3D has what they call the Labyrinth, which is basically a large set of rocks. These rocks are in several parts. I think they're intended to be put together with magnets. If you look there, you can see. So you can put pieces on top and put pieces on the bottom. Probably easier for storage too. And then this bridge as well. Ghamak. Now, Ghamak is under some fire currently from the entity above all. And they are not the only creator, but they're the only one that I've really heard much from personally. I would say you need to go and check it out and just see what's going on. I'm pretty sure there are other creators that are being hit hard by that entity as well at this time. This is an ongoing thing, it seems, but you know, this pops up every few months anyway. But definitely worth checking out. They have a GoFundMe to help them out if you would like to help them, and as they fight for their right to be, basically. They have put out this diorama for the month of October, and that's all I'm going to show from them for the moment, because there's not much to show otherwise at the moment. Goetia Miniatures is doing Grotesque Communion, and I forgot to label everything with what it's actually called. All over the place. This is relatively new to my videos. This is Good Freaking Miniatures. Good Freaking Miniatures has put out a bunch of orcs, and I think I have these together as previews. This is Zargul, Varnok, Brug, Gaznuk, Loktar, Urgoth. Thag. It's not everything, but it's everything that I could piece together. Goonmaster Games has put out these pumpkin lumpkins and some veggie dogs. These are veggie dogs. These are Scrumpy Lumpkin Veterans, as well as some pumpkin patch bases. They also always put out some different scatter terrains, such as some various cups. Some of these are modern, some of these are, old school. Fence posts, some pieces of scrap metal, and a few various random weapons as well. Great Grimoire has only shown us the Cursed Bastion cover image here. I don't have any better images to show you at the moment, sadly. I always like looking at their models. They also have a Frontier coming pretty soon. I think this starts on October 13th, which is tomorrow, Grimoire Tales. And you sign up now, get a free STL. Hardwitch Games, they do a Kickstarter as well as their Tribe or Patreon. So I'm not sure what to tell you how to go about doing this. It confuses me still, but thanks for pointing that out to me. But yeah, so you can check out both places. Here we can see a few of the models that they have here, a couple of different images and versions of these. But their models are kind of all over the place. There's some fantasy, a little bit of sci-fi influence as well for some of these models. And I feel like I need to put these in the models video because these are designed, in my opinion, to just look really nice. But they could also be used in games as well. Heroes Infinites is doing Sepulchria, March of the Undead Necropolis. Here's Lady Corbeline, Archduke Nocturian, Vaynar the Petrified Saint, Yasandra Soul Whisperer, Lady Vera Soul Archivist. What is that coming out of her head? Morvain the Doom Scarecrow, Osarian, He Who Weighs Mortal Souls, Kral the Gravedigger, Nasara, Blade of the Veil, Agradam, Rage Colossus of the Entombed, Nasara on Rai, the Fleshless Steed, Unearthed, Wisp of the Last Breath, and the centerpiece with models for reference. These are Scythes of the Mist, an additional Wisp of the Last Breath for subscribers, and Gravedigger Guardian's Musician, Belfry Howlers, the Wailing Hearse, modular scenery parts as well. Always a robust release from Heroes Infinite. Highlands Miniatures is doing Transylvania, the Fallen Realm. Here we have some bats and vampire bats, I suppose you would call them, as well as some sort of ghosts and a very large bat as well. I didn't look up the names for these. I need to do that. M3 Desion is doing these guys here. I forget what they were called. What were they called? They were called Scorns. They were called Scorns. So some of these are sci-fi-ish, some of these are fantasy, but as well. Kyoushuneko Miniatures was a bit on the late side in September, but they have given us the preview inspiration art for the month of October. Labyrinth Models is doing Osiris Mummies. I thought the sarcophagi were pretty interesting here, along with the urns. Priest of Osiris, Sobek Warriors, Raz Medjay, Priest of Ra, Is that a mask or that is face? And altogether, this makes up their release of the Kingdom of Kemet. Last Sword Miniatures is doing the late Roman Comitates, I can't say that word, and the Song of the Forest. We'll start with the Song of the Forest. So that's the Bannerman release here. These seem to be like elves of sorts. These are Treekin army bearers, Beastmaster, and Blade Dancers. Here are some more Blade Dancers, as well as a Blade Dancer hero. Gloomgrover Sentinels. Part elf, part dryad, maybe? Ladies of the Spine. For the Adventurer tier, again, these are the late Roman Comitatensis. I know I've heard this word before. I don't know why I can't say it. Here's the General. The Command Group. Some in combat and some at rest. And a Donkey Meal. Loot Studios is doing, of course, with October, the Blood Moon. Here is a look of everything you get for the month of October. I really like those houses now that I'm really looking at these. They would make a really nice, like, village. Here's Neris Moonwrath, Janelle the Moon's Herald, Rob the Grey Shadow, and Bestial Faina. For enemies, we have Aguara, Moonwrath Devourer, Pighead Butcher, Were Feline, Ragin Were Badger, Baphomet, Lord of the Blood Beasts, Monstrous Man-Spider, Corrupted Were-Vulture, Pumpkin Blight, and Lady Eleanor, Selenian Spirit. For terrain or environment, there's a Corrupted Druidic Altar, Twined Tree, Cursed Tree, Bloody Willow Tree, Baphomet's Effigy, Skybridge, and 3 little houses to make up the Blood Moon facade. For busts, we have Neris Moonwrath, Lady Eleanor, Selenian Spirit, Janelle, Moon's Herald, and Baphomet, Lord of the Blood Beasts. I like how her swords kind of make her look like she's in the moon. And for a prop, there's a Pumpkin Blight basket that you can print off as well. Have the most unique basket of all. Lost Heresy Miniatures, which I think I've included before, but we're adding them in to the rotation, is doing some Napoleonics here, as well as this Spaceman character. I needed to add that to the sci-fi video, and some skeletons, and like a marker. Lost Kingdom Miniatures has Roacon's Volume 3. So you have these characters here that are... I'm not exactly sure how to describe them. Because that thing looks like a koala bear almost that it's riding. And then these guys over on the right. Low Level Encounter is doing dragons this month. Now, luckily these are younger dragons. This is Red Dragon Hatchling and some loot and a nest. These are Lava Mephits, 2 of them. This is a Red Dragon Wormling, I do believe, as is the one on the left here, and I believe the one on the right is a young Red Dragon. Mammoth Factory is doing Hell's Wake this month. Here's Beleth the Archfiend, and Nalsharine Shadow Strider, Master Invoker, Courtier of Greed, Courtier of Wrath, Sword Siren, and Hell's Wake Stalwart, a Knight, or 2, or 3, a Wayfarer, Ward Lighter, and then we have Soraya the Blade Dancer, and Scrapling Imp 5. Mammoth Props is doing kind of spooky stuff this month. We have Madness Dice Tower and an Anak Staff. This is a Deathbound Hulk treat basket, so our second treat basket for this month, and Hulk Lantern. This is a Woldling Book Nook and Wall Mount, Gilded myself, and Soul Eater paint caps. Reminds me of the Face Eater from Avatar, The Last Airbender. Mantic Vault has put out their release here. There's a lot here, and there's not a lot here. It's going to be very short this time, thankfully. This is Dark Lord's Tower. I do believe this is a Terrain Crate release. And Kings of War Rat Swarms 1, 2, and 3. Max Mini has given us this Spooktober release. Mini Monster Mayhem is doing Undead and Skeletal Army, or Skeletal. I've seen different people pronounce it different ways. So we'll just take a look at these models here. Some of these are some very unique skeleton armies. MOM Miniatures has put out a little bit of everything really here. So we have a Collector and Collector Ogre, Harpies and Swordsman, Werewolf Skull and Dwarf Witch Hunter, Witch Hunter 1 and 2, and 3. This is Tronquito. His poor right hand. MOM was what we just looked at. This is Monstrous Encounters. Sorry, I'm lagging here. This is the Undead Starter Army. Apparently, this is something Monstrous Encounters does every October and releases out this starter set. So if you want to play Undead and don't have any models, this is a great place to start. Vampire Count, a Necromancer, a couple of Necromancers actually. Skeleton Warriors, Zombies, Bone Gargoyles, Mounted Wights, some Wraiths, and Dire Wolves. It may not have everything you want, but it does have a lot of the quote-unquote basics. Novac Dawn has put out Kelthar the Dark Scribe. Put this over in the models video too, so let's move on. NPC Forge has the Draken Vault Delegation. Here's Guildmaster Thoggeron Sire Vault, Korath the Draker Vault Warden, Nefari Scale Script Ledger Warden, Rask the Drover Vault Mule, and Vernaxa the Chain Marked. NS Miniatures has the Color of Space, Out of Space, excuse me, and I'm going to do most of that over in the models video because I'm not 100% certain this really fits fantasy. It's kind of that weird Cthulhu modern aspect, and so I'll put it over in models. One Page Rules has Legendary Human Empire Earth Titan, Age of Fantasy Quest Saurian Ranger, and a bunch of dwarves to round out your troops. These are the Rune Lord Doom Cart and Army Standard. I believe these are Iron Warriors and a command group. Iron Warriors command group. They come in several different styles, male, female, different weapons. These are Iron Marksmen. Here's a bolt thrower and crew, along with, I believe, some more marksmen. And of course you get some bases and some game aids. Papal 3D has Warg Riders this month. They're one of those creators that simply amazes me every month. Like, they just have some really good models. And here's the Witch King. For the throwback set, you get a lot of dead. It is October, so bring out your dead. Parasite Collectibles has Gorgrash the Ripper and his War Rhino. He can be on the back of his War Rhino or not, and he does come in a bust form as well. Primal Collectibles is continuing with Legacy of Blood. Here is Kelivor Dren and Corvin Malor, Malric Vaynar and Zavok. Here's Ormira and Serenia Malvarin, Osric and Darissa Thornek. Print Your Monsters has put out this release here, the Hoarfrost Dragon, Ice Portal, 2 Rhymethorn Golems, 6 Frozen Skeletons. That image did not copy well, I'm sorry. Print and Paint Miniatures has put out Duskbringers for October. So a couple of throwbacks over here on the left. Over on the right, there's a $1 tier tribe if you so wish. They have a very unique style, but a lot of that is because they're trying to make models that can print on FDM and does not have to be resin printed. Printed Legends has only given us this preview of the Lantern Geist, and I don't think we've seen anything more just yet, but we'll keep looking. I don't think I'm going to hit my 1 hour mark. The Printing Goes Ever On has Skin of a Killer for the RPG release, but Episode 6 is the Ursine Wardens. Ursine, of course, is a reference to bears. I heard a good joke the other day that said, even if a bear was to put on shoes, it would still have bare feet. It's an unfortunate posing of that guy over there on the right. And then, of course, you see down here, there he is with the rabbits as he runs around. I suppose those are, what was it? I forget the exact term. Rustifield rabbits. And pretty cool house there. For their RPG release, we seem to be all over vampires and poltergeist, werewolves, all the October stuff. Oh, and look, there's a cart with dead people in it, so there's to bring out your dead if you need it for that. That's funny. I do like that cart as well. And the Witch's Hut, all of that. That's actually a pretty cool release. Punga Miniatures is doing Drakoslavia Fantasy Football Team this month. In addition, you get Rob and Jamie. I like the hat versions better, I think, myself. Reconquer Designs is doing 14th Century Knights. In addition to those knights, you can see all the different options of the knights as well as the horses and how you can put those together. In addition to that, there are some civilians that are suddenly aware. Rescale Miniatures is doing Frostborn Doom. Here is the Frostborn Doom 1 of 6. Here's Thulgar, Icebreaker, and Blizzard Trolls, and Verger Mage. Here's some Varger Raiders. Verger Frosthorns. Elemental Cataclysm and Abominable Yeti. And a Chromatic White Dragon. And I think I mentioned in the preview video, but the tail on that thing is one of the more unique tails I've ever seen. And I just think that's actually kind of cool. RPG Figures, for their fantasy release, has what's called a silkworm. Signum Workshop, I wasn't sure about putting this in the fantasy, is clockwork scarecrows. Here's Clankor, the Rust Furnace Scarecrow, Bazooka, an Ironclad, Clockwork Scarecrow, and a Reaper with Cage, Reaper with Lantern, Reaper with Syringe, and another Clockwork Scarecrow. Smurf Minis has given us Cult of the Nine Lives, and these seem to be cat-based miniatures. Unfortunately, this is the only image I have to show you, so I can't really zoom in anymore on this. But they did show us this for the free October STL if you want to check out these catfolk models. Soul Good Studios is doing an Umber Hulk, except it's not an Umber Hulk, it's a Buffer Hulk. A little bit buffer than normal. So here is the Umber Hulk painted as well as not painted. And there is the bust, and of course you get both 5E and Pathfinder 2E stats for that character. Sordane Publishing has the Witch's Coven. Here are 3 different versions of the Half-Orc Witch. Chimera, a Koi Cobra. 4 different types of gargoyles. Mushrill Monster, so a little bit different than typical Myconid. These are Witch's Familiar Cats, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, I really like those models. And then a Chimera Kylan over on the right. Stormborn Collectibles is also doing a Demogorgon this month. Again, Stranger Things is releasing in November, I think, around Thanksgiving, isn't it? So, STL Miniatures is not doing the side miniatures this month, but is doing 3 sets. There's the Falconry set, and this is apparently inspired by the movie Lady Hawk, if any of you remember that movie from the 80s. So you can see the character with the hawk in his hand, and here is the lady, and there's a wolf. Yeah, so when the sun sets and the sun rises, their positions change. And there she is where she's been injured. So, very interesting story. But being able to train your hawk, you need to have fly-in targets and things like that. For the Animal Tamer set, man has tamed a hyena, and she has tamed a small dragon? Pseudo-dragon? There's some saddles and a really cool tree. I really like the look of that tree. And then we have a Crocodile Handler set with a really nice pier or dock on it, and several crocs. There's a little boat that you can take out to find the crocs, and places to store them once you have them, and maybe some things to entice them. Styrowar is doing late medieval models, male armored Kriegsknecht. I can't pronounce it. And they always show as well where they actually are doing reference work to make these models as historically accurate as possible. Terrain Essentials is doing Wizard School Part 1. So you get all of this on the left. On the right, you get several things to put together and make into a herbalist's room. On the left, you have some modular walls that you can print off as needed and build to make whatever size school you would like, with several different options on the various walls. And on the right are some various essentials to just make any old classroom a classroom. Threat Factory is doing Flaming Skeletons in October. We're about to hit that 1 hour mark. I was trying to avoid it, but whatever. The Threat on the Road is a Kickstarter that is currently out for Threat Factory. I highly recommend it. I like what they do. It's a nice, clean, introductory set of models, and I think it's a good catch-all for anybody that's looking for things. Tiles from the Crypt is doing Cursed Caverns Expansion Kit 01. These are some pretty sharp, big crystals. But these could fit into any of the previous models you already have, as they demonstrate here. Titan Forge Miniatures has cerebrophages, so basically illithids, and I'm not a big illithid person, so here is a dragon. I don't even know what to call this. Here's one that, is he part snake? I'm not sure. And this one seems to be part crab, with brains on the end of each one of those things. These are some sort of illithid, squid man, and these are also illithids. These are more of what I'm accustomed to seeing. So I know there's a difference there that I'm not quite catching. Here is the Nautilus ship, which I thought was kind of neat that they just put this out, because Minecraft just announced that the Nautilus is coming to vanilla Minecraft. Not exactly like that, but here we have 3 heroes. So we have this elf adventurer. She comes with several different weapon options. I think she's elf because of her long ear. Here we have some sort of tinkerer, artificer type model. And then we have what I believe is supposed to be like a bard, but if you notice, I think this, again, with the glasses like that, it's supposed to be an homage to Ozzy, especially with the guitar in his hand and the his fingers like that. For models here, we have a 5-headed dragon. I don't know if that's just a regular, I don't think it's a Hydra. Every head's a little bit different. And this is a, I want to say Atiug. It's not a Roper, is it? I feel like I'm losing knowledge. These are various mimics. TPK Lab is trying to go spooky in the month of October. We have the Baby Snatcher Hag. So, not the prettiest baby, I'm sorry to say. The Skinned Clown. The Pumpkin Head, it says it's the bust, but I think this is not the bust. I think they've got the titles mismatched. Here's the Baby Snatcher Hag bust. The Skinned Clown's bust, and the Pumpkin Head. Yeah, I think it's reversed. I think the Pumpkin Head is actually the Pumpkin Head, and the Pumpkin Head bust is actually the pumpkin. Yeah, I think it's the other way around. And then, of course, there's this model here for terrain. Triskelion Games has put out Red Mist Adventurers: The Thinning Veil Betrayal. And you can see the models you get here. It's usually a kind of a smaller release. Here's a couple of the really detailed models. Twin Goddess Minis has these figures here. If you want to see them in more detail, go check out my models video. I was trying to save a little bit of time here, but I've already gone over an hour. Tuxarli Factory is doing these Asian-inspired buildings. These are friendly to print on FDM, and you can customize these in a lot of different ways depending on what you're looking for. Ugni Miniatures is doing Iron Whiskers, the Ratman Proxy Fantasy Football Group. So here are some linemen, and the other 4 to make out 8 of those linemen. Here's 2 throwers, 4 runners, 2 blitzers, a rat ogre, because I can't imagine a rat team without a rat ogre, and a bust of that rat ogre, and some team tokens and balls. BattleYak Miniatures is doing Zealous Nuns this month. Usually you get a few distinct models, and then you get some Zealous Nuns here that are mono-posed, meaning that they're already pre-posed for you. And then you also have some that are modular, so you can put them together however you wish. You can put the different torsos on the different legs, or you can use some pre-arranged sets in various ways. There's also the BattleYak model as well, this time being a male jack-o'-lantern. Velrock this month, apparently on the September 20th, he lost his grandfather, so my condolences to you. But apparently it messed up kind of his pattern, his rhythm, and this is a kit bash set that one of his users put together and is using here. So a little bit different type of release from Velrock, but hopefully things will be better soon for you. Wargames Atlantic has put out this list of everything you'll be getting in October, and in typical Wargames fashion, they haven't quite released everything. There are several fantasy casualties over here on the left, as well as a Napoleonic zombie upgrade. These are work in progress images. These are Mycenaean, I'll overthink everything. Heavy infantry. This is like the work in progress images, and then these are the more released images of those Mycenaean heavy infantry as well. Warp Miniatures really outdoes themselves sometimes, and this is one of those months. Here we have the Cryptid Crew, and yes, Dragon Trapper's Lodge is also doing cryptids this month, so I may have to pick up both. Here's Nessie. Nessie looks so happy, doesn't he? And Mothman. Here is a Bigfoot on the left, and I'm not sure what that is on the right, but if they had, I said this in the models video and I'll say it here, if they had done that Bigfoot in brown, I think it would have been a perfect match for the one from the Goofy movie. These are jackalopes, maybe Rusterfield jackalopes, because they look like they're pretty fast. And then this has to be a chupacabra, because I'm pretty sure that's a goat down there that it's eating, and that's what a chupacabra does. White Angel Miniatures, they messed me up. I had to cut the previous part from the video because I thought they were doing dwarves, but they have a frontier for dwarves. For the month of October, their tribe is Beastmen. And these are some really nice Beastmen, actually. So, I did not bother trying to label these because I always get confused over what exactly their releases are and what they're called. But just to look at these models, I'm impressed with these. This is about how I would envision Beastmen to look. There's rank and file troops. There's a command group over on the right. And I don't even know what these things are. Wow, that is terrifying. Instead of antlers coming out of its head, they come around its mouth. Like, how does it even get the food into its mouth, to be honest? And here are your typical Centaurian sort of Beastmen with dragon bottoms instead of horse bottoms. White Werewolf Tavern is going into mythology, the spirits of Slavic myth. And I'm really excited about this one. Here's Baba Yaga. Here's the Swan Princess, which I think a lot of us know this story. Here's Vi. Now, I'm not familiar with this character offhand. Vi, V, something like that. Now, I included the artwork here because I just love the colors of the Domovoi. So here are the models of the Domovoi. And I'm a sucker for David Clark gnomes and things like that. So I just like the look of these models. These are sirens or sirens. Not sure if there's a difference with the pronunciation there, but they're basically like owl creatures, vultures maybe, that have like human-ish faces. Here's Zarya Polova set. I guess she's like a maiden of like the harvest or growth. And for the busts, you have Baba Yaga. the Swan Princess, and of course Zara Poleva. Wild Mesh has given us some preview images, and they usually do both fantasy and sci-fi. Ferox, Avatar of Wrath, and some Gore Pride, as well as a Necromancer. So I'll be curious to see what comes out. And apparently this will be Awakening this October. So here's another preview of that. Witch Guild has shown us the Brain Dead Bulwark, and I do believe that's their name for that creature. Witch Song Miniatures has shown us the Rotbloom Priestess. I think I was on autopilot when I was writing all this down. And then for World Forge, we have Ancient Egypt. So any of you that have interest in Ancient Egypt, now's a great time to do this. This would be a great pairing actually with Labyrinth this month. So there's a ceremonial altar. There's a arch and some pillars, whole or broken. There's some statues, as well as some tablets, some vases and obelisks, a boat, and a chest. And it is 111, like the repetition of the numbers there. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. Some of our creators are under attack by creators that think their properties and theirs and the other creators match too closely. So please be sure that you take care with those creators. I'm just now learning a lot of them myself as to what's going on there. But I hope that you've learned something from this. Thank you for your patience, and I will see you soon.